Hey guys, welcome back to the MCU HQ. This is my spoiler review for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. If you have not seen the movie, do not watch this video, because it's a spoiler review. You've been warned. And I'm not going to do a play-by-play of the movie, I'm just going to talk about certain things. I have a lot to say about Wen-Wu, so that'll be fun. But first off, what was the Legend of the Ten Rings? Because the subtitle for the movie is "And the Legend of the Ten Rings." And when the final battle started, around that time, I realized that the movie had not yet told us what the actual Legend of the Ten Rings was, and that the movie had no intention of telling us what the Legend of the Ten Rings was. And then the post-credit scene set up the sequel to really explore the Legend of the Ten Rings. So the question has to be asked, why is The Legend of the Ten Rings the subtitle for this movie? Was it just so that die-hard fans would know that it's the movie's attempt to fix this? What were they going for with the subtitle? They could have just called it Shang-Chi. People will go see it anyway because it's Marvel, but I don't know. I was a bit confused on why they subtitled it that. And speaking of this guy, Trevor Slattery is in this movie, and not just as a cameo. He is in like the entire back half of this film, back third. I'm not sure how long it was after he showed up, but he was in it so much more than I expected, and I'm not complaining. I love Trevor Slattery. How has Trevor Slattery survived so long? So he was the Mandarin, but he wasn't, and then he was arrested, put in a federal prison, was broken out of that by the real Mandarin, except the Mandarin is just a made-up moniker, which I kind of like that change. Instead of saying they just stole the name, it's like, no, this is the Mandarin, or the Mandarin's not real. And then he goes to Wen-Wu, sits in prison, and then goes to Talo, whatever its name was, and he lives through that battle. I guess he played dead. This man is a master at survival. He should have died by now, and he has lived. Morris, his little pet, I want one. In fact, that whole village, I just want to live in that village. Can I just go there and just get away from society? That's a pretty cool village. Although I guess it's not cool if the demon things break out, but Shang-Chi sure dealt with that. Which brings me to the thing in the trailer that I didn't like, which is him meeting the Great Protector. Because, you know what's coming in the movie. When they told the story of the Great Protector, I'm like, oh, so he's going down to get the Great Protector. And then when Wen-Wu punched him into the water, I was like, he's going to come back with the Great Protector. Then when the wing things broke out, I was like, ooh, he's going to come in and kick ass with the Great Protector. Because the trailer told me that he meets the Great Protector, so the excitement of seeing that was taken away. It would be like if the trailer for Endgame showed the complete Stark Gauntlet. Yeah, they're not spoiling everyone coming back, but they're showing a very important piece of the movie. Anyway, let's talk about Wen-Wu, because this guy is the coolest character, one of my favorite MCU villains. Honestly, he might be my second favorite. Killmonger's really good, so he's probably second or third, just above or below Killmonger. Still not taking Thanos, though. I honestly don't think anyone will ever take Thanos. But he just wants his wife back. He is really a villain who... He wanted power, so he was definitely a villain. Kevin Feige says he's a bit misunderstood. I wouldn't say that's fully true. He definitely was a villain at some point. Then he stopped, and he was just trying to be a good guy, just trying to, live a life. And then circumstances kind of brought him back into that life, which was really cool. He's clearly someone who doesn't want to be a bad guy. Things that have happened have just made him into a bad guy. And I think that's a great backstory for a villain. And I love his motivation. He just wants to get his wife back. And he's so mad at these people that he's willing to burn all their stuff down just to get her back. And that's why I say that the story in the movie is so different from the story in the trailer. Because in the trailer you think it's, well, Shang-Chi was given 10 years, now he has to come back to his dad and all this crazy stuff's gonna happen. That's not what it was. Shang-Chi just left, and then his father's like, it's been 10 years, let's get him now. so we can go get his mom. Hugely different story than what I was expecting. And that last fight between Shang-Chi and Wenwu, I think, was a great fight. And something I loved about it is that when Shang gets the rings, he's not a pro with them. His dad is still beating him. Wow. His dad's still winning the fight for the most part, because Shang-Chi's still inexperienced. In that martial arts form his mom used, he's still not a pro at that, and he's also not a pro with the rings. Sure, he wins them, and then his father ends up giving them to him, but his father still gets a few good licks in after Shang has the rings, which would make sense since Shang-Chi had them for 8 seconds, and his father had them for 1,000 years. And the fight that I thought could have done better was the fight between, was the final fight when it was the Great Protector against the other dragon, and Shang-Chi and Xialing were on the Great Protector. The camera was whipping around really quick following these dragons and Shang-Chi jumping around, and it was hard to see. It was I don't know if it was just my theater or not, because I haven't really heard anyone else complaining about it, but that final fight, they could have just cranked the brightness up a bit on that. It was as dark as something from Game of Thrones. It even took me a second to realize, the move, because he threw the rings into the other dragon, then, kind of blew them outwards. It took me a second to realize what was going on, because I saw the rings go down, and then he did this, and then they shot outward, and I was like, oh, they went into the dragon, and he blew out the dragon. At least that's what I think it was. Let me know if I'm wrong. Anyway, that's really the main stuff I wanted to talk about for, the main movie, but I do want to touch a bit on the post-credit scenes in this video so that I don't forget to make the video like I did with the Black Widow post-credit scene, so I'm going to touch on them in this video. So we get two. They were both cool. First one, much cooler though, because the movie ends with Wong saying, Shang-Chi, Katie, come with me, we need to talk, and it goes, and they're looking at the rings, and Bruce Banner's there and Captain Marvel's there. And Bruce is like, they're not vibranium, and Captain Marvel's like, yeah, I don't know what they are. It's not a metal I've encountered. Then she dips out, which I think so the trend is that Captain Marvel always leaves, and I love that they've become so self-aware at this point that they actually write that in as a joke, that she's just always leaving. And these 8 seconds of screen time for Captain Marvel are better than all her screen time in Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame. God, I hate this character so much. But Bruce Banner, he's a human again. So Marvel really needs to figure out what they're doing with the Hulk, because it's Hulk permanently, then Banner, and then the mesh of Hulk and Banner, and then just back to Banner. Figure it out. But he's got his arm in the sling, so we know it definitely takes place sometime after Endgame. So this is definitely after they've merged. Where was Doctor Strange, though, at this time, is what I wonder. That's what I want to know. And they say the rings have a beacon on them. The first time Shang used them, it triggered a beacon. And I have a feeling that whatever's on that beacon is coming to him in probably the next movie. So I have a feeling that's a sequel setup, unless it's an Avengers setup for Avengers 5, because they make Shang-Chi an Avenger at the end of this one, basically. He is an Avenger, which is cool. He's also a wicked powerful Avenger with those rings. And then for the second post-credit scene, Xialing is in charge of the 10 rings, because she's like, oh, I'm gonna go shut down the compound and clean everything up, but she didn't. She is not shutting down squat. She's taken over. Now, will she turn them into good guys, or will she lose her way, kind of like when Wu did? Because she clearly wants power, so I don't know. I'm interested to see where they take Shang-Chi, all his characters, this world. I think this is one of the coolest MCU worlds we've gotten. I think there's so much room to expand it and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. But that's all I really have that I want to talk about in terms of spoilers. That's going to be my spoiler review for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let me know any spoiler thoughts you have down in the comments below. Also leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.